What's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another masterclass. I have 3 videos from 3 gentlemen that have questions about the Haydn D major cello concerto, obviously our theme in the last few weeks. If you have questions about the Haydn D major concerto, I will tell you in a little bit how you can participate in these masterclasses. But without further ado, here's our first question.
Hello, Mr. Moser. I hope you are doing well. My name is Emmanuel Losa, and I'm a cellist from Atlanta, Georgia. And today I had a question about the development section of the Haydn D major. I wanted to ask how you might go about keeping a classical sound in the Virtuosic displays. And I also wanted to ask how you might go about using your vibrato and your right hand technique.
Emmanuel, thank you very much for your video. Thank you for your great playing. You already have advanced quite a lot with this piece. I do have a couple of thoughts about your question regarding sound, especially right at the beginning. You start beautifully with a lot of bow. But for the next phrase, it seems you are saving bow in order to be in a good position for the up-bow staccato. Now, what I suggest is that you spend quite a lot of bow on that first F sharp. And then for the first note, you come in the position of the up-bow staccato, which I would say is probably past the middle, just before the balance point. So that's a good spot to start the staccato. Now, of course, we don't spend the up-bow on the string, because otherwise the sound would just jump up. But we touch the note lightly and then travel through air. That's where the air travel comes in. And then... Now, I personally don't do the up-bow staccato because it's not the original bow. The original bowing is actually separate. Now, I still need to travel through the air to come into the right position. It's up to you if you want to keep that up-bow staccato. It makes a very nice impression, but don't use the up-bow staccato at the cost of a good sound or at the sacrifice of a well-sounding F sharp.
And if you would possibly borrow a romantic fervor that you might use in a romantic concerto in these sections.
Well, this question about romantic fervor is a little bit harder to answer because obviously I like to stay in the classical style, but I think there are sometimes misunderstandings what the classical style actually encompasses. And I think if you listen to Baroque ensembles that play, fast movements, it is absolutely wild. I personally identify my classical sound by putting the initiative into the bow rather than feeding my sound first and foremost with vibrato, which is something that I see quite a bit in your interpretation. Instead of, so that you let the bow take care of letting the sound bloom, and then the right hand is just used occasionally to warm up the sound rather than being the identifying character of the sound. As an example, let's look at the lyrical passage in the minor key. Instead of using a romantic sound, let's look for the notes that have the most expression. I definitely think that this appoggiatura has quite a lot of tension as well. And if you focus on putting tension and strength on those notes, then you don't need to fill up the sound with so much vibrato, but actually you transfer the expression from the left hand to the right hand. Thank you for your video.
Hi Mr. Moser, I'm Loris from Italy. Thank you so much for your time. I would like to show you a little passage from the Haydn D major, first movement, and ask you for the bow instructions, because I'm looking for the right place, kind of the bow to play this passage. So if you have any advice, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your video, and thank you for that specific question, which I think is interesting to all of us. I recommend that you play at a point in the bow that is equivalent to the expression that you want to have. For example, if I compare the two F sharps, I try to make the first one a little bit more lyrical and the second one a little bit more determined. I need to be well in the upper half to have enough space. Now for the second one, I actually do a little bit of an articulation. So I am not as far on the tip because I feel like this becomes a little bit harsh, but when I'm a little bit lower, I have more control on that attack. Now when we come to this passage, I actually start on the upper half, and as I progress, I try to use more and more real estate. I create automatically a crescendo. The more I progress to the lower half of the bow, obviously the more sound I will have. And what I find helpful about that is that I don't have to work with pressure, but I'm just working with distance in order to create a crescendo. That way, we'll never get a sound that is actually suffocated, but we will keep the free sound. One more idea about the bow at the beginning of the passage. When you're already in motion with your body, your sound will be free from the very beginning. Here's the difference. So if I don't move, and if I move, it's almost like I'm pushing my right hand with my shoulder and with my whole body into a kinetic energy. So I don't do a start of a phrase, but I'm already in motion. And I personally find that very helpful, and especially at the beginning when we're still a little bit nervous and it's still a little bit tight, that sideways motion is actually gonna free you up quite significantly. And here, to everybody who is watching, if you also have some questions about the Haydn D major concerto, upload your video to YouTube with the hashtag Moser Masterclass, and I will pick it up there, and we're going to talk about your video.
Hi Maestro Johannes, I'm Andred. I'm playing now Haydn cello concerto on D major, and this is a place where I find it a bit difficult, and if you could help me, I will be really grateful. Thank you.
I think you share that sentiment with a lot of people, including me. This is definitely one of the more trickier passages of the concerto. First of all, let's talk about the bow. I would organize the bow so that we are not having too many vertical stops. Right now, what I gather from your video is this. It is very vertical on the beat. And I would suggest that you think of this run more as a collection of upbeats. That way, we are rolling upwards rather than having one chunk next to the other. Another suggestion I would like to make is that when you land on the B, that you don't go immediately to the thumb. I personally really like the first finger on that note, and then I shift later, and now I shift onto the second finger. And then you are in the right position to continue. By putting a well-sounding finger on the B, the audience is not so much focused on the virtuosic passage work, which I'm sure you will play great, but you insert a cantabile note there, so you have that switching between virtuosic and cantabile, which of course is giving you a huge variety of emotion in a very short period of time. All right, that's it for today. Thank you very much to the three of you for sending your videos. To everybody else, please do send something as well. A lot of people are going to be interested in similar questions than you have. I'm really enjoying this and I hope you are too. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next class. Bye.